These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mark Z via PDK with an article quote, Vietnam pushes the U.S. to grant them market economy status. Mark Z says this could lead to the increase of the value of the Vietnamese dong. The U.S. State Department has called upon Vietnam to raise the value of their currency. Rayran98 says three letter guys are indicating that the dinar rate is still set for $4.81, but may temporarily introduce lower, and they are watching the clock. Frank26, this is a Fort Worth Chase Bank story. Bank visitor says, I went to one of the largest Chase banks in Dallas. This bank is different than I've ever seen. It was 2 stories and upstairs there was many windows you couldn't see into. Frank says a lot of banks are metamorphosizing their environment in order to be part of the exchange process. Bank visitor says I go and sit down. Within 5 minutes, this private banker, who BTW is vice president on his card, comes over and greets me. I said I have a large amount of foreign currency, and can you let me know when you will be able to exchange this currency? I didn't say dinar. I said, I know we're getting close, with Chase being the #1 bank in Iraq. He looked at me and grinned and said, I've got a couple other clients just like you. Frank goes on to say, I emailed them from time to time and give them an email update on what's going on. He said, there's been a lot of speculation on the foreign currencies and when they were going to revalue. He never said it was a scam. He looked at me and grinned. He said, we will be in touch with you. And I said to him, let me ask you something. Nothing against your other locations, but how come they haven't treated me this way? They know who I am. I go there all the time. He said, this particular site is set up to help customers like you. He said, we are directly tied to JP Morgan in New York. This is how we operate this site. You get that feeling when you sat in front of these people that something's going on now, and they may not be able to tell you all of it, but they know who has what. And I actually had recently, I had a comment on my YouTube recently of someone that had a somewhat similar experience going to a bank very recently. So if y'all want to check out the comments, I forget. I'll find it and try to put it in the comment section which person left that comment, or if he hears it, he can comment his story again. Okay, moving on, Claire has an article quote, the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq receives a delegation from World Bank. And a separate article quote, the World Bank confirmed on Wednesday that the infrastructure for electronic payment systems in Iraq is the best in the region. All right, Pimpy says, I already, excuse me, I already said this about the World Trade Organization. There is no certain exchange rate that you must have to get into the World Trade Organization. What they're looking for is an exchange rate that's very stable. Although, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure they would prefer if you didn't have so many zeros. Moving on to Mark Z via PDK article, quote, Central Bank of Iraq is facilitating transfers. Mark Z says this has to do with the electronic platforms. The claims they made by government officials that Iraq has the most modern system in the entire Middle East. This is big. It means that the government officials will not be able to embezzle, etc. This system will be very transparent for the people. This is a key part before they usually revalue currencies. Sandy Ingram says the CBI must carefully manage the timing of revaluation. Iraq has over $100 billion in foreign currency reserves. The IMF has continually said Iraq needs more income streams to offset the oil industry. The development road project and several others manufacturing projects are all part of increasing Iraq's income streams. All right, Caparoni says, I remind people again, Iraq's entire net worth, including all minerals in the ground, including oil, is only worth about $16 trillion. With over 100 trillion dinar in circulation, Iraq could never RV the dinar. Only with the success and growth of Iraq's economy and private sector can the dinar go up in value. It could go up gradually over time as Iraq's GDP increases. All right, Militia Man says we're in the process of watching it unfold. Everybody should be able to be excited because the news is collectively showing Iraq is moving to a private sector slash market economy, and there's partnerships with the public to be able to facilitate it. Frank 26 says, if I was the CBI within the next couple of weeks, no later sometime in this month, I would have banks show the Iraqi citizens practice currency sheets in the banks so they can practice with the citizens of Iraq. Mark Z via PDK comments, still hearing they're showing the new lower denoms in Iraq at the banks. Mark Z says, I had heard they are showing the specimen sheets at all the banks. I am not the only one hearing that. Claire has an article, quote, Iraq increased its possession of the yellow metal to more than 142 tons. Another quote, Iraq announced the purchase of gold in the year 2023 amounting to approximately 12.25 tons. Pimpy says there are many countries that have a ton of resource and governments are rich, but the people are poor. I've been a huge supporter of the Iraqi people. I keep praying their government gets their crap together and they're able to prosper from the resources they have. There's no reason for them not to. Sure, I want to make money off the Iraqi dinar, but not at the expense of the Iraqi people. I can see how the Iraqi people will become prosperous because if they change the exchange rate, it gives them more purchasing power. That means they're able to buy a lot more things with their money. An increase in the exchange rate would benefit them greatly. And lastly, Bruce via Wiser Now says we did get information that is pointing to this very soon. So there's a 4-letter word that we don't use that often from main sources. We will be going in for exchanges before or by Friday morning. It looks very good. I think this could be an interesting weekend into next week. And as far as updates, again, I have left my email, ninjasiqdnews@gmail.com. I'll put it in the details or the comments section as well. If you find any article sources or news sources that I haven't covered, or you have a research-based opinion that you would like me to include in my next morning update or an afternoon update that I might be doing this afternoon, just shoot me an email. I'm still going through a handful of them and seeing if there's ones that I haven't covered already.